Hey guys, it's Ryan here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're going to be doing our TBR video for January. So, not too many things here. I mean, actually kind of a little bit of a lot of things, but it shouldn't be too hard to achieve the reading here. So, in terms of leftovers, basically things from last year that I want to finish reading, we have Conan the Cimmerian, and I've actually been reading this currently, and I'm almost done. I think I have 2 more stories left, and then I will be done with this book. Besides the miscellaneous stuff, which I will do a video for eventually. I just don't feel like reading all of this extra junk that I'm not super interested in right now, currently, right? So I will come back to this later after I finish reading the actual stories, and I'll come back to the miscellaneous later on in the year. Also, the Cole book, I'm also almost done with this one. There's about 3 stories, I think. No, actually, I have two different parts left to this one. I have one part that has, I don't know, like 5 stories. And then another part that has another 3 or 4 stories. And then the miscellaneous, again, I don't really want to read that stuff right now, so I will leave that for later. But I do have at least 3 more videos that have to do with Conan the Cimmerian and Cole to come out this year. Hopefully by the end of January. But if not, into February they will go. And then we have Tarzan. Number 4, I want to finish reading this because it's been a long time since I started reading it, and I have not been able to do so. Even though I really enjoyed Tarzan, I still like the idea of him a lot, and I even have a comic book that I want to read. I have not been able to get back into the story because I really haven't felt like reading it, and so I want to try my best to get back into ERB and his works this year. So we'll start with finishing off Tarzan from last year. And then we have The Lord of Chaos. I'm going to drive back up to Dallas here soon, so I'll probably end up kind of putting a dent into this book again because I'm going to restart it, and I'm going to be reading the or listening to the audiobook version, so I should be able to read it while I'm driving, and hopefully it should be easy to do because I've already read that first part of the story once already, right? So it should be easy to listen to, and hopefully it doesn't end up boring me a little bit because I already know what's going on, right? So yeah, but I want to finish that. I want to do all the videos that I haven't done for it and kind of move on to the next Wheel of Time book. And then we have a comic book here, Battle Chasers, the anthology. Actually, this is the first 9 volumes or 9 issues. And this is because I want to jump into the next set of stories, right? Because it came back into print or back into serialization last year. And I want to read that stuff, and so in order to read that stuff, I need to finish reading this. So, yeah, I really like the artwork here. It's kind of awesome and insane and weird and old, but also really cool. So I really like it, and I can't wait to read more of it. But I do think I have to restart that because I don't remember anything that happened in it. So, yeah, and then we have My Friend's Little Sister. I wanted to finish reading this before the new year, but I didn't get around to doing so, and so I have to do that now. So this is my last leftover book from last year that I want to read. Moving on to new novels I want to read this year. We want to start with Legends and Lattes. And then Outlander. And some Western here with Hondo. So these 3 are picked basically because I want to get back into reading fantasy. I find cozy fantasy to be a genre that hasn't really existed in the American zeitgeist, as far as I understand it, and Legends and Lattes happens to fall into that, and so I want to support it and show my appreciation for the genre existing now, and also get the second book that just came out like a month ago, right? So, yeah, in terms of the other 2, Outlander is a series I really like watching, and I want to read the original source material because I feel like I'll probably end up reading that before the series actually manages to get to the ending point, right? So I think that would be much better. And Hondo is just because I really like Louis L'Amour's writing, and I haven't read a Western in a while, so I want to jump into it with a legendary Western book like Hondo is, right? So, yeah, that's it for the novels. On to comic books here. I want to read The Last God or Fellspire Saga, book 1. This is a Philip Kennedy Johnson work. I've heard he has amazing world building, and I can see it based on flipping through this book, but I really want to experience it properly, and so I want to read it. Then we have Tarzan, Volume 1 of the New Adventures. These are a Sunday comic book strip type thing that they kind of do on the website. This is the first book. I don't think they ever published more of it, but I really hope they do because I like collecting things physically, and I don't want to pay a subscription service for the the digital comic strips that they have, right? So yeah, then we have Asterix Omnibus 1. I want to get into more European comic books, and this is one that has been highly recommended to me, so I want to read it. Then we have Calimán. This is basically the only Mexican comic book that I own, and the only Mexican comic book that I'm aware of that is, you know, in print physically in a way that is reminiscent of American comic books. And I want to show support for it, and I want to review it at some point this year. So that's Calimán. And then I have 2 comic book arcs that I want to read, which are The Forged Arc 1, which is the first 3 issues, and The Forged Arc 2, which is the next 3 issues, issues 4, 5, and 6. And those are books that I want to review. I have them physically, but they're kind of out of reach right now, so I can't show them to you. But I do want to read them. I actually read the first arc already, but I didn't do a review for it at the time, and so I want to go back and rectify that. So yeah, moving on to light novels and manga, though, I want to finish reading Solo Leveling. This is the last volume of the series, and it's one that I have been kind of waiting for, but also dreading reading because I don't want the series to end. And this is very clearly going to finish the series. There's an epilogue at the end, and I don't want to read it. But I also want to know how the story ends. So there's kind of a little bit of a bittersweet moment here. But I will do a full series review when I finish reading this. I ruminate on it a little bit, and then I'll talk about everything that the series encompasses and do a proper review for the whole thing, right? So, yeah. Then we have Kuroha and Nijisuke, which is a single-issue comic book or volume or manga, a single volume manga, one-shot, about this girl that has super luck and this guy that has super bad luck, I think. Something like that. They basically, it's like Undead Unlock, like years before it came out. But in a way that is kind of sadder, I guess. So I want to read it. And then we have Boys Abyss number 3, because I like horrible manga, apparently. I don't know. A lot of people seem to not like this book anymore, although there was a lot of hype with it early last year, and late 2 years ago. But I've recently been seeing a lot of people say that this is just really sad and kind of like almost like torture porn to an extent. And I don't think that that's true. I also find it to be enjoyable because it's so different from everything else that I read. Most of the stuff that I read is hopeful and kind of about overcoming strife. And this is just about the reality of like the weight of strife destroying you, and the way that humans choose to find small things to use to escape from those feelings, right? And so I think it's a really interesting look at reality. It's also very pessimistic, but I think it makes sense from a country like Japan, and it kind of probably works a lot for everyone else outside of Japan. So yeah, but maybe it doesn't go all that well with like how Americans think about the world, even though it probably goes well with how Europeans and Japanese people look at the world. So yeah, maybe that's why the clash happens, but it's one that I enjoy. I think it's interesting to read. So, yeah. And then finally, we have Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid Chromatic Edition 2. This is another set. I'm on the fence about this one. I do want to read it, but it's basically spoilers for later parts of the series that I don't know yet. And so I feel like I shouldn't read it, but I also don't want to stop myself because I love the colors of this. So I'm not sure what to do. But I think I will read it anyways and just deal with the consequences of reading something that is spoilery and just live with it, right? So yeah, that's my TBR for this month. Let me know what you guys are reading this month down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you guys later.